This is Chris Hansen.
Chad doing Rip City Radio here.
This is Jamie Hudson.
This is TJ Hoochmanzada.
And I'm going to let y'all know something.
You're listening to
It Just Makes Sense.
It Just Makes Sense.
We are sports. We are nostalgia. We are pop culture. And we're funny sometimes.
I think overall we're just a good time.
They thought we couldn't do it. But guess what?
We're back.
Podcasts are free, and we can do whatever the hell we want.
Yeah.
We never knew what we were doing in the first place.
Yeah, that is a good point. He beat the goddamn Packers. First time in December.
For the flower.
We put LaFlower in the ground, if you know what I mean.
It's just a bad look for the Chiefs. They've been on the good side of this shit
so
many times in the last 4 or 5 years, and they cried about it. It was not a good look right after.
Well, you got Forte, but good old Zion Williamson
got Fate.
Yeah.
And who are we
Speaking of
to
losing,
call people out on losing bets, okay? We suck at betting.
And remember, don't be afraid to fade yourself.
this is really starting off real great for me.
Yeah, you might not want to include that. That's a touchy subject right now.
Oh, it is kind of a touchy subject. About that. Well, you'll never know about that. Well, speaking of you'll never know.
Is this us starting?
No. Well, it was, but, you know, I've been waiting for you to get off your damn phone.
He wasn't going to bring up the phone, but he did touch on something he's going to edit, so technically now we're starting.
Now we're starting, yeah, because we have
You guys ever heard of Chinooka?
to, Listen, if you don't get off your phone, I'm going to body slam you like Goldberg did at the Falcons game. Did you guys see this? This guy was murdered.
Should we call the police?
Look at him. Bam!
That's a broken rib or two. Hopefully he signed a waiver.
Real dead.
Why is Goldberg the special guest at a fucking Falcons game?
I don't know. But I was just wondering, like,
King of Atlanta, dude. Everybody knows
is
that.
he?
No.
Okay.
Where he's from?
Nobody knows. But, like, how much money for you to get body slammed like that by Goldberg? Because, like, the guy that he body slammed probably made like $500 off of that. That would be my
What
guess.
makes it? If anything, Goldberg got paid to do that.
Well, they
that
both
guy
got
probably
paid.
didn't get paid.
You don't think?
You think the
Of
guy that got
course.
body slammed got paid?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's like the similar thing where Jordan got kicked out of the NBA arena for dumping a beer on the mascot.
But it wasn't
the guy
pre-planned where he got paid. He like raised hell and then got free tickets.
No.
the
But
guy
I'm talking
that
about the
cut
guy
the hair.
that got his hair cut.
Oh.
That guy was a
Which
paid
led
actor.
to Jordan doing that.
Yes. Yeah.
We know that for sure. The guy got paid.
Yeah.
That's how this works. Everybody
Yeah.
gets paid for
You
anything.
think you think a mascot would just go up to a random person and just chop their
Nothing in my
pony?
life is staged. Nothing I watch is staged.
Everything
It's all
in your
real.
life is staged.
Everything.
Silo is real.
We are paid actors. You are the
Yeah.
subject of a Truman Show-esque
Have you ever-
experiment.
have we talked about that? Have you ever thought that you were on the Truman Show?
No, but I'm trying to think if I am at liberty to tell this story.
Okay, while you think about that for a second.
It's like
as soon as I saw that, I'm not like anyone else. Everyone else thought this too. It was like, everyone in my life is fake.
It's like the jury show, right?
Yeah.
How about this? I'll say it this way. A close friend of mine, who you guys know, who still lives in Utah, recently had tried smoking weed.
Okay.
And has tried it a couple times. And he was telling me when I was last there, and we had gotten dinner, he was telling me that when he got too high, he started to, like, get paranoid and, like, truly believe that, like, his whole life was a simulation and, like, everybody around him was, like, fake, essentially, like NPCs. And he was really getting all sketched out about
Yeah.
it.
I had a brief period like that in high school where I legitimately was like, okay, I am going to this place, and they are going to announce to me that my whole life to this point has been staged.
What led you to that?
I don't remember. You psych yourself up. I don't know.
But there's
and
nothing
you're the
that
center of the
happened.
universe when you're that age too. So it's just kind of like,
But
of course, my
was,
life.
Was
is
there
fake.
anything that happened that led you to think I'm gonna walk in here and then they're all gonna tell me it's a
Well,
prank?
I really think that it was kind of a terrible gag to kill off both of my parents by the time I was 14.
No,
That
well,
also might lead you more into thinking that, you're the main character of this. Like, that adds. I'm not trying to minimize what happened to you, but that adds drama to the.
That does add drama to the story. Yes.
Yeah.
And, being arrested when I was a juvenile as well, from all of that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, of
Maybe
course,
you've just always wanted to be the main character. And it's
Yeah, just to my own
waiting
soundtrack.
your turn.
We had to cut that part out because we talked about who it was. All right, cool. So we're off to a good start. We've had
Who
to
are you telling that to?
the world.
Why don't you just
because
bleep,
now we've had.
bleep his name?
I suppose I could do that too. We've just had to
Be
like
funnier.
restart this podcast like 3 different
Take
times
3.
already.
We don't
Take
know what the
3.
fuck we're doing.
This is our first time.
Yeah.
Speaking of first times, second annual live show, Jimmy's Sports Bar and Grill, January.
10,
Be there, be square. Starting time is
6 p.m.
be there, be
I thought it
square.
was 5.
I mean, you can be there at 5. Grab a
Multnomah
drink, grab some food,
Boulevard.
get a
And it's a Wednesday.
seat. It's a Wednesday.
Wednesday,
You
yeah.
don't got anything going, I guarantee it. So fucking be there.
Jimmy's got a lot of good stuff going on because they got a prime rib deal going on. They've got a white Russian competition. Is that
Yeah.
right? That's pretty sweet.
Which is a lot of fun. I've gone the last 2 years to the White Russian competition. It's a lot of fun.
You know what's going to be a lot of fun is when the snack wrap returns in 2025. Were you guys big snack wrap people?
I don't
Yeah.
even know what that is.
What?
The McDonald's snack wrap.
Yeah, the McDonald's snack wrap.
I didn't know it was called a snack wrap.
Yeah, the snack wrap.
The snack wrap,
Are we talking just like a chicken wrap?
Yes.
Yeah, basically.
Why is there like an excitement about it, like the McRib?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, it
Took
has-
it away from you.
It was taken away. It was around like during the early 2000s, kind of.
Uh-huh.
I would guess late
Yeah.
2000s,
Mhm, mhm.
and then it was a big complaint because McDonald's has all the ingredients to make a snack wrap
Yeah.
readily available at all times, but they won't do it.
They just won't, yeah.
You want me to be excited? Bring the fucking McShaker back. It's the only salad I eat.
That was
Oh.
good. That was good.
The mixed shaker, yeah.
How many times are you gonna make that hand motion?
I don't
tomorrow?
know. Like we'll go over under, or like how many more times will I go like this for Tommy DeVito, and then like this for every
I
other
mean,
thing.
the
So,
McDonald's stuff, it makes sense when we get to the NFL, and Peter's like, yeah, so the Bills
you
Chiefs
know,
game.
Yeah, Tommy DeVito.
this,
you know? Yeah.
Oh, but yeah, I'm excited about that. Honestly, I want to try the fucking KFC snack wraps.
Do they got one?
Yeah, they just came out with a line of 3 of them.
Bone-in chicken inside.
No,
Eat around
The
it.
drumstick.
but there's
Yeah.
one that's just mac and cheese with fried chicken in a
Oh
tortilla.
my god.
And I'm down with that.
So it's their heart attack bowl, but it wrapped in a tortilla.
yeah, I guess no mashed potatoes and gravy.
Yeah. KFC's really trying to get Braxton into round 2 of the Heart Attack Hotel there.
Though.
So. But yeah, I ran into a same problem for a while. They did bring it back a lot quicker though. Was when Taco Bell, they got rid of like the cheesy bean and rice burrito off of like the value menu, and I was like, oh, can I get that? They're like, we don't serve that anymore. I was like, okay, can I get a bean burrito, please? Add rice and nacho cheese. All right, cool. I'll pull around. I'll pay 5 times as much.
Yeah, I don't like how they do that.
Yeah.
If you got the ingredients, just do it, please.
Just
That's why I like Outback.
Do
If
it.
they have the ingredients, they'll make it.
You want a wedge salad inside of a ribeye? We'll cut a slit in it, sir.
Yeah.
yeah.
We'll shove it
Just
in
like
there.
a reverse salad wrap or whatever, where you get like 2 ribeyes with like lettuce on the inside.
Dude, that dry aging really made it crunchy.
Oh man, there were a couple of gambling things that caught my attention on the social medias that I thought it was a little apt, especially
Does
around
it seem real?
the Christmas holiday. Oh yeah, it's real. No, this one was just like a video where it had Will Ferrell from Elf, who's in the elevator, and obviously we all know the scene in which he like starts poking the buttons and they light up and he gets all giddy and then he starts pressing everyone. And this is the tagline is stop being greedy and adding so many legs to your parlays. That's what someone tells you. And then me is you just like, beautiful.
It's a vicious cycle.
Which is what we did with our locks this past week and lost on Thursday Night Football. Immediately kills the 6.
We went from doing.
Didn't we go like 1 for 5?
Yeah.
Was it at the end of it was 1 and 5?
We
It was
did this
bad.
new thing where like it felt so close the
Dolphins
first time,
lost.
and then the second
Chiefs.
time it felt so far
Yeah.
from hitting it.
Yeah, because Dolphins lost, Lions lost.
Steelers lost.
Chiefs and Bills under 47 when we hit the over
The
47.
only one that hit is
At this point, I don't know.
Texans lost to the Jets.
Texans lost to
Yeah.
the Jets,
Ravens is the only one that hit over the Rams.
which took
Barely.
overtime.
Barely.
Which we'll get into. We're so bad at this.
Honestly, I'm at the point where I hope we don't win one.
We can't win one. But we still have to try. We're not sabotaging ourselves.
No,
here.
I'm still going to try.
We're going to luck our way
But
into one
the-
of these things.
Maybe
think
us trying. Maybe us not trying will fucking hit one.
Yeah. This like just do like Will Ferrell does. This is how we're going to pick this week. We're just going to randomly start clicking things on DraftKings 6 times, and that's going to be our picks. That's
scared.
going to be our picks. But we're all lucky to have found the significant others that we have, because I thought this was pretty funny. This guy who's on, what is this platform here? Does this look like Tinder?
It's Snapchat.
Snapchat. Okay, cool. It is this gal has been talking with this guy, and she writes him this block paragraph. She says, I've been distancing myself from you because I feel like we are in different places, and I think you are a little immature with the gambling and the gaming and always smoking and drinking in that house. It's just something I kind of want to stay away from, but I do want to be friends with you. And
You get a hold of Ashley's text to me.
and his response back was, I'm just a guy. That's legitimately a very reasonable
What's it say at the
response.
top? They just don't want guys to be dudes anymore.
They just don't want guys to be dudes anymore. It's very true.
I mean, she described me without the gaming.
Does Ashley say that to you? Hey, you need to mature. Stop hitting the black and milds and whiskey so hard.
And let's just be friends.
At this point,
Fuck.
you're too tangled, though. You're too tangled.
I mean, this paragraph has probably been sitting in her phone just waiting to be sent.
Speaking of which, did you find your wedding venue?
That's probably this
We'll
message
see.
is probably what's delaying
Yeah.
it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I don't know who's in a better circumstance, though. Is the guy who is getting the distance from and kind of more or less being private, or the other one where this guy, young guy, is at a hockey game with whom I think he has a crush on, but maybe is not reciprocated.
Friend zone.
The kiss cam is just the worst, and we'll talk about it on the other side. They show this guy and the girl. He throws his arms in the air.
Oh no.
She shakes her head. No.
I
Getting-
also think, getting back to the whole Jordan situation, I think some of these are staged.
The kiss
Yeah.
cam.
The ones that go wrong.
Kiss cams that go wrong? Sure. I could see that for
Do you
sure.
think they're paid?
I don't know.
Those guys? I don't think so. But there's a lot of... You know. That I think was real.
Listen, I would assume that everyone's been friend zoned. I've been friend zoned. But there's nothing worse than being friend zoned on fucking national TV.
In public.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
Have you ever been on a kiss cam?
No.
No.
I kind of feel like they started doing away with those because they wanted to be more inclusive, and I, don't think that all the sports teams were comfortable with the idea of putting LGBTQ couples on there, and so they just took the gray area out, and we're just like, well, because it's a little bit discriminatory if you don't include everyone.
Why not just do handshake cam?
Handshake cam, yeah.
That gets the people
The
going.
Tommy DeVito cam. Hey! Oh!
Look forward to that later in the episode.
Is that a thing? Like, that's... Are you just assuming, or is that like a thing that,
What?
sports teams didn't want to do a kiss cam?
I know that the Blazers stopped doing the kiss cam a few years ago. I don't know if they've since brought it back, but I know that there was a good...
That's kind of a shittier reason. Instead of
they
including
didn't want to put gay
everyone,
people on
we're
there?
just going to stop instead of including everyone.
Yeah. I just think that it was like we would rather just not than than seeming like we were not inclusive. So
in this country club, instead of letting
think their
minorities
intention
in,
was-
we're just going to close. That's essentially what it is.
there's two sides to the coin on that, where you could definitely be like, well, if you're not comfortable putting them on there, then yeah, for sure. But still, I mean, I was terrified at the idea of ever being on a kiss cam because I knew that if I was ever like with a female at a sporting event, I was there because I liked them, and generally, I was not. It was not reciprocated.
Blowjob cam.
Oh, come on with it.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, jeez.
Are you
Any-
saying
any
that's not a
follow-up
good
to that?
idea?
Yeah. Would you like to
That's
Just
expand?
throwing it out there.
I mean, really, you had the
Blowjob cam.
opportunity to do the hand job cam. See, that's now 4 times that I've done that. Gonna have to start blurring that out for our YouTube audience,
I think blowjob
For all the
cam is
children.
genius.
for all the children.
Yeah, how many kids listen to this?
12.
I mean,
What if that German guy is a fucking like 12-year-old?
I do have to click a bunch of buttons that say that our content is not for kids.
How many countries are we in? Do you know?
19 was the last time we checked.
19 was the last.
We're no new heights. I'm pretty sure they're at 130.
Oh, yeah, I mean, they're
the
like-
number one.
Yeah, they're a
Sports
number.
podcast.
We're also not 2 Hall of Fame NFL players. We're a bunch of blowhards
We could be.
sitting on a free couch.
I think we're Hall of Fame average Joes.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks, Miguel.
we're just
I
a
really
bunch of
appreciate that.
just a bunch of blowhards sitting on a free couch.
Technically, it's harder to be a Hall of Fame average Joe than it is to be a Hall of Fame pro athlete in a specific sport.
Okay,
You're battling with a lot more people.
The competition is
it's harder
higher.
to be an average Joe than it is to be a Hall of Famer. Is that what
Yeah,
you're saying?
and-
I'd Hall of Fame one.
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. Because you can't be too good, then you're not average.
Yeah.
But you've got to be really good at
At
being
being
average.
average.
Yeah,
And if you're too good, the target's on your back, you get killed.
that's true. Murder's
Right.
everywhere.
I would say that we're really good at being average.
Yeah,
So we're definitely not good,
yeah.
but we try.
We sure do.
Like, what are we actually really, really good at? What's our forte?
Your forte. See, now he's using. It's as if he sat courtside at a sporting event.
Because he said forte.
Yeah, I know. It's not really.
Forte is
Jesus Christ.
it's not the biggest word I can come up
I
with.
know it comes
5
with at my
letters.
standards for Miguel at this point. So sorry about that.
What is our forte?
Yeah.
Drinking. Probably.
Not
Yeah,
gambling.
but there's a lot of aspects of drinking that I don't think I'm good at. Like, I'm not. I would lose a chugging competition. I'm
But-
not a. So
But
if you're
a lot of parts of drinking you'd probably be good at.
yeah, but if you consider yourself the best at something, you are the best at every aspect of that something.
Yeah, I wouldn't say we're the best, but that would be one of our fortes.
Like, I still make faces
Our
when I take
strengths.
shots. That doesn't make me the best
Yeah.
at drinking, I feel like.
But you could still take down a dozen.
Yeah, and without peeing,
Yeah,
you're
that's
pretty good
concerning.
at that. Yeah, the level of which you can go without
Holding
needing,
this holding the seal closed before
it's pretty remarkable.
It's probably not good for you.
it's not. Yeah, that's point of concern.
Well, you got forte, but good old Zion Williamson can't seem to figure
Got
out.
fate.
Yeah. Woo! Good job by you.
I would normally back him up, but he is getting fatter.
He is. Yeah, we'll talk about that here in just a second. I need to bring up this clip, which has now eluded me. Hold on 1 second. Come back. Hello.
Zion tells me I could play in the NBA and give it a shot.
Can you dunk?
Are we the same size, brother?
No.
Yeah, you say forte, and Zion Williams says,
You know, I
Williams
think
says?
we kind of went into the game too, like Kazegazogo.
Like this is
You know, I think we kind of went into the game too, like Kazegazogo.
like a Zezazul.
Is that worse than Kevin Garnett trying to say equivalent?
Kevin Garnett saying equivalent.
Do you remember that?
I don't. Hold on.
That's viral. Kevin Garnett playing the little roulette during a show, and he tried to say equivalent, and it was in shambles.
Here we go.
Okay, here we go. Kind of like naming NFL equivalent for each NBA player.
He doesn't even try.
He just
Okay, here we go. Kind of like naming NFL equivalent for each NBA player.
just went by really fast.
Yeah, it sure did. Well, let's see. A guy. Oh, I had a really good segue. It was like tell someone to shut the F up or tell him to get out of it. Whatever.
Great segue.
Yeah, I know. No, Kadarius Toney, I am surprised, was not immediately let go by the Kansas City Chiefs after Sunday Night Football's debacle. We will talk. I mean, like, I think everyone agrees he was offsides. Everyone agrees except for the Chiefs. It was the right call. However, I was very struck by the Chiefs coming out so vehemently against the referees in that moment when they you haven't really seen it called, but he was offsides.
It was a response out of emotion.
Yeah.
I mean, both Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes have come out since and was like, why the fuck did I react like that?
They also don't want to get fined, which is, I'm
Which is
sure
fine, but
there's two sides to that. But
Even if it's not 100% genuine that they believe that, usually when you're coming off of a loss and the emotions are high, that's when you're talking to the media that you want nothing to do with. Sometimes you sleep on it and the next day you're like, why did I say that to Josh Allen of all people? Why did I say that to this guy? Mm-hmm. And you kind of come down from that high of emotion.
Yeah, I mean,
And the thing is like people are saying like, oh, there was 4 other times that he was offsides and they didn't call it, and it's like there's holding on every single fucking play. There are so many things that refs don't catch. The fact of the matter is that time he definitely was offsides. There's no denying that, and they caught him. It's unfortunate that it was one of the last plays of the game, most important plays of the game. It's unfortunate that it was like a really cool play where you pulled off something really tricky and hard to do. Like, yeah, that doesn't take away from all those things, but he was offsides.
That was the only joke of a point. It was like, how could you take away something so cool?
right.
It's like you can't reward something because it's cool.
Yeah, you
but
don't
also
get cool points in football.
People are sick of the Chiefs and the Warriors and the Patriots and all that time when they win. And when you're used to having calls on your side, this is something brand new that's not something they have to deal with. And they got the short end of the stick with this one. But it's like you bring up all the Chiefs' reactions and how it was a terrible reaction for Patrick Mahomes to complain to Josh Allen. That was so unsportsmanlike.
Yeah, it sure was.
The guy had nothing to do with it, and they fucking beat you.
Yeah, what do you think?
What
is
did he
Josh
say?
Allen going to say?
What did he say to him? Like, that call was such bullshit or something?
Yeah,
it was
that?
like
Just
such an embarrassment.
In passing is like, I can't believe the refs decided this. And it's like, dude, you forget the James Bradbury fucking holding for the Super Bowl?
For the Super Bowl.
To decide the goddamn game?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't think Jalen Hurts wanted to fucking rip somebody's head off?
Yeah, but I'm sure that he didn't bring that up when he was, face to face with you at the end of the game. Yeah, I totally get that. I also understand, though, too, like the argument where there is the 4 other times that there was offsides and it wasn't called. I mean, I think that it's like, it's the first time under like the Andy Reid era, like in, hundreds of thousands of snaps that they've ever been called for offensive offsides. And he's saying, like, usually we get, like, the warning, right? So if you do have the 4 or 5 other times that it occurred, you would maybe expect to get that. And maybe that was the first time that they noticed it or something. But, I mean, clearly it was a thing. And then, you get in the next game on Monday Night Football, Jalen Waddle lines up multiple times offsides. It wasn't called.
And with different officials, you're going to get different officiating. But one thing that I learned as somebody who would line up on the outside, they teach you at a very young level that the first thing you do is you put your foot out, you get in your stance, you look over to the ref, you point, or you put your hand up, or if you're off the line, you put your hand behind your back and you look for either a nod, a thumbs up. They'll pat their leg, or they'll give you like, move
Shuffle you back,
whatever. And that was something that what's his name, Detroit Lions old quarterback, Orlovsky.
Orlovsky, yeah.
He was talking about how he was looking at the film, and not one time throughout that entire game did Kadarius Toney look over for confirmation.
So
I also think it's less that rarely happens in the pros. With
The looking
Tyreek,
over?
yeah, like
Right.
it happens less in the pros. You should be doing
This
it.
is how it looked, because everyone was hoping that the CBS crew would release the footage of that. Here is someone who was literally down the line at this game, at the Chiefs game, who is filming it, not knowing that at the time he had some very consequential footage here. So for our YouTube audience, and I'll describe it to those who are listening, what you will see is Toney running to his spot and pointing to the ref, but he is not yet on the line. He's nowhere close to it. He's just kind of acknowledging to the referee that the referee exists.
He pointed and then moved up.
No, he wasn't. He was just running still to the line. He wasn't even set at this point. So we'll watch it here. It's about a 16-second clip. So here he is running to the line, and he's pointing as he's going, and then he's set, and then
he's way over.
He's way over. So let's play it one more time. So here he is at, let's see,
and he's not looking either.
He's not even looking, and he's pointing as he's not even set, right? So that's at the 5-second mark. And then now he's going, and then he should have looked there. He should have looked to see if he was set at the 9-second mark. But he was pointing as he was running to his spot.
Yeah, but I think also you look at that and you think if the refs wouldn't have called that, that's kind of egregious. He is
So
way over.
Right. And then think about Bills fans and all of the Chiefs bias and all this other stuff had that play stood. I mean, obviously the Bills would have had a minute to respond.
Here's the thing though. Not to excuse how Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes reacted to it, but if that wasn't called, so the reason they had such strong reaction or emotion about it is because it's not a play that's called a lot. It's only been called a few times in the last few years.
It was called 11 times this year, only 2 times on wide receivers.
Right. So that is not something that any of them or any of us are used to hearing outside of the holding and the PIs and all that shit. So if that wasn't called, I 100% believe no one would have said anything. That no one would have noticed.
I mean, he's pretty far over though. The way we're able to go back and look, just like all the Chiefs fans have, it's I don't know. He's pretty far over.
They definitely wouldn't
That's
have called
pretty
it in the moment,
It's
right?
pretty
They
egregious.
would
But
have called it
I
on
just-
Twitter
Yeah.
afterwards.
I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah.
saying it's not. I don't think it would have been a topic of conversation because how many times do you think that's happened where it wasn't addressed and we don't know? It's such
You're probably right, yeah.
it's such a quick thing to happen. It's not a normal call, and that's probably happened a handful of times this season, and no one knows.
Right. And as Braxton, you were pointing out, they do give these guys grace. They help you out, all of that. I forget his first name, but the referee, Cheffers, was saying, his rationale in defending the call was, literally, the line judge couldn't see the ball. He was that far in the way.
Yeah, in that video, he literally covers up the center, the line, the entire ball.
It's just a bad look for the Chiefs.
It's a terrible look. They look
Because
like such babies.
But they've been on the good side of this shit
So
for
many
many times in the last 4 or 5 years, and this happened, and they cried about it. I know it's right away, and they have since then changed their views or their opinion on it, but it was not a good look right after.
Yeah. And I think it kind of gives a sign or a little bit of a look into the state of the Chiefs right now.
Absolutely.
Because they are showing a lot of weakness. They don't have this really, strong, definitely not a strong record. They're, not as unflappable, it seems right now. And it seems like their weaknesses are kind of showing and
They're running out of excuses.
Yeah, exactly. And
they wanted to point it at the referee so badly, and then without any sort of verification or validation that they were correct, they went on and did that, and then they look like such assholes for doing it.
Yeah, and I think that if that's were a Chiefs team of last year or the year before, I don't think they would have probably had that same reaction. But I think this kind of shows that they can feel internally that things are unraveling just a little bit.
Totally.
They're not the same Chiefs of
they can feel it slipping away a little bit.
Yeah.
And they're getting desperate almost.
This is so good in the gambling world, though. What a perfect time to get the Chiefs at value.
Yeah, absolutely. Because when you think about it,
not to win the Super Bowl, because I'd be terrified of the Niners, but to win the AFC, it's got to be great value with what's happening to them right now, because you're never going to count them out with who they have still, and it's got to be good value to put some money on them to win the AFC.
I'm just, really questioning their receiver strength. Like, they, obviously they depend on Travis Kelce a lot, and teams are learning, like, hey, we can just double team him and minimize his catches, and that helps us a lot. And you know that Patrick Mahomes doesn't have as much trust and confidence in these guys who are playing receiver for him.
They haven't given him a
it's
reason
crazy
to be confident.
that Kadarius Toney can find you that many ways to lose a game.
Yeah. He's got to be cut after this season.
If they didn't do it now, it's like you got to say, like, a head's got to roll here.
Yeah.
And, to blindly defend him when he's let you down so many different times.
Yeah.
It's him in three ways. It's either he's injured and he can't help you, he's dropping the ball and he can't help you, or he does a boneheaded mistake like this and he's not going to help you.
That part's not fair, though.
What's not fair?
To criticize somebody like Mahomes or Andy Reid to blindly defend someone, they would get just as much criticism if they turn on their fucking teammate. That's not fair.
I don't know, but I think that it's just like a matter of just like owning the mistake and moving on. But like versus just like not taking any level of accountability and having to totally walk it back. I'm not saying throw Kadarius Toney under the bus.
That's what you're asking him to do during a fucking interview.
I'm just saying that what they're doing is they're totally placing 100% blame somewhere else and not internalizing anything. Oh, this is an embarrassment for the National Football League, when it's like, you should be embarrassed by that guy. You don't have to outwardly throw him under the bus, but like your approach of just taking no accountability and saying like, this guy's let you down so many different times in so many different ways. Maybe you want to like walk a bit of a line
address that in the locker room. You don't address that in the interview.
Yeah, I think you could just say, hey, that's something we've got to address internally. We've got to be better at not making mistakes.
Shouldn't put ourselves in these situations.
Not say this is all Kadarius Toney's fault.
Right.
But don't say this is an embarrassment to the National Football
League. Right.
I
mean, like Andy Reid's coming out there saying that like they're saying all these superlatives, this hyperbole about how this is a disgrace for the NFL. No, it wasn't. It wasn't at all.
The Super Bowl call was a disgrace for the NFL.
Yeah, I mean that's when you look at those types of things, that's what benefited them. So I will ask this question again, and I guess we can talk a little bit about the Cowboys and Eagles game. So I asked that last week after one loss, but now they've lost back-to-back games, both of them. Who are you more concerned about, the Eagles or the Chiefs?
I'm still more concerned about the Chiefs.
One.
I think I said I was concerned about the Eagles last time.
Yeah.
And that hasn't changed.
Right. I mean, like they lose to the Cowboys, which, I mean, the Cowboys have shown you that they have lost those types of games before. But here they are winning that game and winning it in dominant fashion.
Here, to address that question, the level of concern for both teams is the same as far as what's happening that are boneheaded shit. Like the Chiefs are dropping balls, making mistakes like lighting up offsides and all this shit. And the Chiefs lost because their three biggest stars all fumbled. I mean, these are like boneheaded shit that you're not supposed to make in a big game.
Yeah.
The reason I would be more worried about the Chiefs is the Eagles is less about what's happening with the team, but their road to the Super Bowl. The Chiefs, I feel like, even at their current state, could beat the Ravens. They could beat the Jaguars with a healthy Trevor Lawrence. They could beat the Browns, the Bills,
The Dolphins?
the Dolphins. I mean, you saw a little bit of how you can beat the Dolphins last night.
For sure.
I think the Eagles having to go through Dallas and San Francisco, that is a way tougher road than the Chiefs have.
For sure. I mean, it's definitely like who's going to get home field at that point. That's going to play a huge factor. You know, you look at these two teams, and hold on, before we get into that, let's look at that game, Dallas and Philadelphia. Which one told you more? Which blowout told you more? Because obviously we saw the 49ers murder the Cowboys. We also saw the Eagles do the same thing. But then we saw the Cowboys come at this stage in the year and throw a totally different thing, flip the script on the Eagles and now have dominated the Eagles. What did you see in that where it comes with Dak Prescott, where it comes to that team, the time of the year? More so of a question about the Cowboys, I guess.
I think we have seen so many times through the past, the Cowboys do have these games where they have the flash in the pan. They're able to, everything comes together and connects and it hits. And it's like, wow, we them boys, we're going to win the Super Bowl. And then it just doesn't happen. They can't do this. They can't string these types of wins back to back to back. And so for that reason, I just don't have a lot of confidence in the Cowboys. I don't think that in the long term they're going to be able to continue to do this. Dak is going to continue to be able to play back-to-back games at this kind of high level that he did against the Eagles. And for the same reasons, the Eagles have those flash-in-the-pan games where they play like shit. And those are not going to happen very often. So I think that, consistency over time, which we have seen way more from the Eagles than we have from the Cowboys, is where, that my confidence comes from.
The Eagles, when they don't play well, it's never a failed execution type deal. It's stupid mistakes, like Hurts fumbling or A.J. Brown fumbling. I feel like Dallas relies so much on a couple people that if they played a Kyle Shanahan coach loaded San Francisco team and Kyle Shanahan says, we're going to shut down CeeDee Lamb, I think Dallas is done. As good as their defense is, you shut down CeeDee Lamb, I think they have a very mediocre running game with Pollard.
Yeah.
Everyone expected Pollard to be
a breakout,
fucking great, and he has been average to below average for that team.
Yeah, the Cowboys right now will go as Dak Prescott goes.
Yeah.
It seems, right?
What happens when there's the thing too is there's so much pressure being a Cowboys player. All of the shit that you just said and how people expect you to fail. People expect you to run into a wall at some point when the game matters. The same way that Romo did on that fumbled hold. What happens when that gets in Dak's head in a wild card game or a playoff game? Yeah. I don't trust it so much.
But see, I'm looking at this and I say, since the end of October, 43 points, 23 points, 49 points, 33 points, 45, 41, 33. And some of those are in, the 23 was in a loss to the Eagles, 28-23. But, you're putting up a ton of points.
That's not necessarily the best sign. If you have not shown that you can win gritty fucking games,
right,
you're having to rely on putting up 40. What happens when a team holds you to under 20? Can you squeeze out those games?
They did against the Chargers, but that's nor here nor there at this point. But yeah,
I'll just never trust the Cowboys when it comes down to the nitty-gritty. That's just until they prove otherwise, I'm never going to trust them. Whereas the Eagles, and we've seen this a lot of times throughout the season, maybe not a lot, but 3 times, where they've had some pretty gritty, hard-nosed games where they didn't play their best.
The Eagles you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah.
But they are able to come out with a win because they stick together. They know their team strategy, and they stick to it, and they're able to come out with a win because, and just like Miguel said, it's way more impressive to have those types of wins, especially getting to this point in the year.
Because you've been tested.
Exactly. Than it is to, oh, we beat this team by 20, 30. It was a cakewalk, whatever. And I don't know. Again, history tells me that the Cowboys, when it gets down to crunch time, even if they do have a number 1 seed, home field advantage, whatever it may be, they're not gonna take it to the big time.
What does Riley think?
Super Bowl, baby.
Yeah.
Just before we get off that point, I know it's not the same level of competition, but think about in college basketball. Think about Gonzaga. You know how Gonzaga blows everybody out?
And then they
don't get tested,
Yeah.
and then they get to the tournament and they fucking lose.
100% agree.
Now, I know these are not NFL caliber teams, the Pepperdines and the Santa Claras, but then they play a North Carolina and they play a Kentucky. They don't beat them.
Yeah.
It's the same shit.
I love a top 10 team that loses either in their conference tournament or right before their conference tournament, because that's the type of one where it's just like you get that punch in the arm a little bit that tells you like that we're not invincible. But to your point, where you have that like we're rolling, we're the best, we've got the number 1 offense because it's artificially inflated and all this stuff versus, all of a sudden you get punched in the mouth and you have no idea what to do because you've not been put in this situation.
Not just as a player, but as a coach. When you're able to roll teams, you're not having to experiment with certain things. When you're in a close game, you're having to come up with different ways and different strategies
to throw a lateral on a.
I mean,
to a wide
not
receiver.
necessarily like trick plays, but like, okay, how do we?
You're just having to challenge yourself.
You're having to challenge yourself, and that comes in handy when it comes to when it matters.
I feel that for sure.
So Saban's so fucking good.
Yeah, and the thing is I see, we're talking about the concern with the Chiefs and the Eagles. The Chiefs and the Eagles in their next 4 games both have very favorable schedules. So that all that we're talking about now will probably be all for naught because the chances of both of those teams winning 3 of the next 4, if not all 4 of their final games, is probably pretty high. Because with the Chiefs, they've got themselves the Patriots, Bailey Zappi, the Raiders in Aiden McConnell, the Bengals in Jake Browning, right? Jake Browning? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then you get the Chargers with Easton Stick. Woo!
Is Herbert out for the season?
Yeah, he's done.
So is part of the reason he's playing bad is he's been playing with a broken finger
No,
the
he
last
got that
4 games?
Yeah, I mean, he's had a variety of issues, but this one actually fractured the last time. But he's had hand and finger injuries all year. For the Eagles, they've got the Seahawks, the Giants twice, and the Cardinals.
And
right?
that's Drew Lock. Gino's out, right?
So this upcoming week they've got Drew Lock, and then you've got Tommy DeVito twice. And we'll talk about Tommy DeVito here in a second. But I did want to bring up what you were saying when it comes to good value and everything with conference champions. And this is I don't know what their values were ahead of this, but right now the Chiefs are plus 300 to win the AFC. The Eagles at plus 230 to win the NFC. Both sit second, respectively, with the 49ers in the NFC and the Ravens in the AFC.
That is not as good as I expected it to be. I thought the Chiefs would be like a plus 900 or better right now.
Yeah, I think
they're
that
still
they're looking,
second.
I think they're looking at the schedules coming up. But to your point, when we look at like a team battle tested, maybe like teams when they're up against the wall finding ways to win, that's exactly what the Baltimore Ravens did this past weekend. A punt return for a touchdown. Yeah, they probably shouldn't have been in that situation with the Rams, but they were. It was an ugly weather environment as well. But guess what? You won that game. And I think that that's kind of the testament to winning those types of games.
Do you remember everything you were saying about Lamar's value last season?
Get out of here. Nope, I sure don't.
Yeah, they wouldn't be doing this without him, I tell you that much.
He should have been on the field.
Well, he is now.
Yeah, he should have
That's
been
for
on
I
the
mean,
damn
the guy
sure.
made a throw in the middle of getting hit off of his left foot exactly to the chest of the guy in the back corner of the fucking end zone.
It's impressive.
That was probably one of the best football throws I've ever seen.
Yeah, he played very well in this game, and I think the Ravens are going to be a force to be reckoned with. I agree with that. I honestly don't know who I think is going to be in the or representing the AFC in the Super Bowl. I honestly think it's going to come down to Miami or Baltimore, but I think this is going to be one of the years where the the Chiefs are not involved in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, the thing I'm worried about with the Dolphins, regardless of losing, a 14-point lead with 3 minutes to go.
Yeah, that was
sketchy.
concerning.
They've got a lot, and I mean a lot of injuries, and especially with their center now, tears his ACL. That's concerning, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
Very
I
true.
think that they have, and then Tyreek Hill also injured, so I think there's like 8 guys of your 22, of your starting 22, are hurt.
It kind of shows you how the timing is so bad. It's inevitable that you'll get injured in the NFL, and you'd rather this happen between weeks 1 and 7, be ready for the playoffs. They've rolled everyone, and now everyone's getting hurt right when it's right when it matters.
Really tough for sure.
Could you imagine if the Browns were in the Super Bowl with Joe Flacco? That'd be sick.
Joe Flacco.
They dumped P.J. Walker.
Yeah.
How dare they?
Had to let him go.
Joe
Flacco's
Flacco
the
is
man.
playing so fucking well.
Yeah, I mean, who would have thought?
Not you.
Not me.
Not you. You were not for Joe.
I was just unsure. I was asking
The guy's battle tested, baby.
what's his fucking name?
RJ
about him when we had him on. And I was like, is he the guy? I don't know. And he said no. And I was like, okay, I agree with you. Whatever you say. But hey,
now
I've
you're
changed my
feeling it.
tune.
Yeah.
I'll take him.
You know who else is changing their tune are the Minnesota Vikings. Josh Dobbs, as it turns out.
Sucks.
Not the guy. Not the guy.
man.
Not the guy.
What happened to him?
Not the guy. Nick Mullins. You don't even know his name.
Pulled out a huge win.
Yeah. But everyone, 3-0 win. Yeehaw.
Josh
What a brutal
Dobbs.
game.
Talk about a flash in the pan. 2 great games, and then he's just fucking...
That's the kind of backup quarterback you want, though. He can come in, get you 2 wins. Hopefully your starter's back. By
Oh,
then.
but God, people wanted so badly to fall in love with Josh Dobbs, right?
Yeah.
Like, everyone's like, oh, he's the diamond in the rough. Oh, you could have had him, but you didn't want him, and now here he is, and he's in, a freaking space
Rocket engineer.
rocket, yeah. It makes me feel so dumb not even knowing
a space rocket,
he's
bro.
a space rocket. So,
What happened
ever-
to
have you seen
Justin
the
Jefferson?
Yeah, I don't know. I hope he
Did he
comes
hurt?
back and
Did
plays.
he injure the same thing?
No. He got a win taken out of him, and I thought it was really interesting. And I think it was Kevin Kugler and Mark Sanchez on the call. And when he got knocked, because he got kind of like, he was up in the air, someone cracks him in the back and he's mid-flight, right? It wasn't a defenseless receiver thing, but it was kind of like he really got the wind knocked out of him. And it was, so he comes to the side and they're kind of like, oh, he's probably got the wind knocked out of you. That's not the type of hit you want. They kind of like laughed it off. And I was just like, that dude might have like a lacerated kidney, and here you are just like
And then
laughing
he just
at
never came back.
And
And
he went right back in the locker room and he was done. I think he went to a hospital. It was like, it's like,
Yeah.
maybe
I hope
don't
he's-
laugh when guys,
I hope he's okay. I'm gonna need him next week.
yeah, I doubt he's playing.
Damn.
Yeah, I think. But, I mean, and yet the Vikings still find themselves in playoff contention.
Yeah.
How is that possible?
They're gonna lose in the first round. I was gonna
Freaking
ask though.
Lions keep shitting the bed. But Tommy DeVito was incredible. I love.
Yeah, let's get to it.
I love the fact that they are serving, cutlet dinners and meatballs and just like trays and trays of food. I love how gregarious the family is, where the dad is kissing the agent on the sidelines. Everything about it is great, but he's about to play the Eagles twice, so he'll come back down to earth.
That his agent.
Yeah.
On the sideline,
the
on
New
his phone.
Jersey guy.
I just wish it would have been so much better if he had like an old school flip phone.
Yeah, no, for sure.
That was just such an iconic look.
I love this. And I sent this to you guys, and it says 55 million a year. Danny walks. It says, "Sir, this is a Jersey Mike's."
The fedora.
The black everything.
$55 million a year, Danny walks.
Capiche?
Capiche?
Full on Jersey, dude. Sunday dinners.
And there was so much man smooching as well on the sidelines as well. Hold on, I think that's the same link. One moment, we've got the other.
I love Danny DeVito and Tommy DeVito, but
I love all the DeVitos.
and I'm not against good old Tommy, but I think this is the Josh Dobbs story.
Yeah, for sure.
I think he had 2 or 3 good games, and he is going to be a .038 fantasy player should you have him.
Yeah, this is it's fun while it lasts.
Yeah.
Circumstance very similar to Dobbs, but it's fun while it lasts.
He gave Matt LaFleur his first loss in December since he became the head coach.
How about
Packers
that?
never lost in December.
I love what you sent earlier today, which is a guy parodying Tommy DeVito. Tommy DeVito in a huddle.
Okay, how's everybody doing? All right? Everybody's all right? Evan, you okay? Kids are good? Everybody's good? All right. We're going to kick it over nice and easy here, okay? We're going to do X, Y, Z, A, B, C, shrimp fried diavolo 1, 3. All right? Ready? Let's go break. All right, cocksucker. Oh. Kadarius Pepperoni. Get your ass on the line. What are you staring at me for? What are you looking at? Stop smiling. Your teeth. Why are your teeth gold? You look fucking ridiculous. You're embarrassing, all right? Here we go. All right. Hike. You cunt. All right, guys, listen. That guy over there on the right side, the fat fuck, yeah. Guy's breathing down my fucking neck, all right? He's chasing me like I got fucking andouja hanging out my ass crack, all right? Okay, it's spicy, okay? Can we get fucking somebody on that fucking guy? All right? Okay, here we go. What do you
With
mean
a
Tony got
Bluetooth.
whacked? He didn't get whacked. He didn't get fucking whacked. You think he got whacked in a diner eating fucking onion rings? No fucking chance. What? Play clock. Fuck. All right. Andiamo. Hike. Come on, you fucking bastard. All right. Come on. Let's go. Come here. Listen, you got to sign, all right? Because, listen, if you're not here, everybody's going to be paying attention to me, and that's a problem, okay? I don't got to be fucking running around, all right? I'm trying to milk this fucking thing, okay? So you sign, me and you, we fucking do this. The other guy, 40 million, get the fuck out of here. Yo, Jaylen.
Fuck out of
Jaylen,
here.
go ahead. Go.
It's a long drop back for a handoff.
I can't fucking hear you. Okay, whatever. All right. Guys, okay. It's on me, all right? You ready?
Cocksucker.
Okay. Your mother's a whore on tree. Come on. Let's go. Seriously. Your sister's a skank.
You know what? I just love that this is happening to this family because this will be their legacy. They will talk about this on the porch in their dying days.
Yeah. You remember when Danny played in the NFL? That was good times. And then
It's the uncle. It's the uncle that's never gonna forget it.
And then that fat fuck Dable. He ruined my boy. That's exactly how this is gonna go.
Uncle Nino. My nephew, Danny.
That fat fuck Dable. It's all his fault. It's not Tommy's fault.
It's Uncle Nino on Sunday dinner.
He beat the goddamn Packers. First time in December.
First time ever.
You remember that?
For the flower.
He beat LaFleur.
We put LaFleur in the ground, if you know what I mean.
Oh, he knows what you mean. Hey.
I mean,
Oh.
seriously, if you're the family, fucking capitalize on this shit. Make shirts, sell
Reality
merch
show.
right now.
Oh, yeah.
A
Something
reality show.
before it falls, so you can fucking do it now.
He's going to get a lot of ad deals. I'm sure he already is in the Jersey and New York area.
Yeah, love
I
that
mean,
too.
How many butcher shops hit him up for the gabagool?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Come on.
I love this for them. I love this for the Italians.
For the Italians. The
So
gabagool.
It is
But
great,
like it's going to last like a week or two more.
if that.
If that, right? I mean, like, give them credit in these last couple ones. Like, you beat a decent team in the Packers that had been looking up. The other two, not so much or whatever. But, like, don't lose you a game. And he hasn't lost you a game. Yeah. And when it mattered, though, like, he hit, like, Wendell Robinson, like, butter.
Now, I tell you, this guy beats the Eagles.
Oh, my God. He gets 2 cracks at him. I get 2 cracks at the Eagles. Forget about it.
He wins one of them.
Forget about it. I get 2 cracks at the Eagles.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I'll be watching.
Yeah. We're just back on the frickin' parents. Oh my gosh.
Are the Eagles Giants a bigger rivalry game than Eagles Cowboys?
No.
I mean, they're still
No, it would
division
be-
rivals, but
Cowboys and Giants are also really big,
yep,
but
yep. I would say the Washington Philly rivalry is probably a little bigger than
This
New
just
York.
came from the Invincible movie. So I just remember the
I
Vince
mean,
Papale with the Eagles and the Giants. It was massive.
Yeah, I mean, they're all division rivals, that's for sure.
oh, there's the. I thought I was off of this one. Hold on. Here we go. This is what I'm looking for. There was a lot of talks about butt cheeks and grundle this past weekend, and I thought it was important, especially for this podcast. Nate Bargatze was on the Manning cast.
That's the guy I want to see next month.
Yeah, he was on the Manning cast during the Miami game. And, obviously their center goes down. They start talking with these two quarterbacks about the importance of a quarterback putting his hands in between the center's butt cheeks, and this is how that conversation went.
Hey, you know how much you talk about the centers, and you got to be comfortable with the centers? I mean, y'all talk like they just bring you a guy from the bleachers for the backup center, and you're like, what's your name again? Like y'all have never met him, and the whole thing's off.
We've met them. Yeah. It's just not. It's a comfort. It's a comfort area. You don't want to go around that area with too many people.
Yeah, you kind of want your hands to be for one set of butt cheeks, Nate, so you don't really want to, share that with several. So you try to stay loyal.
Could you blindfold and just have your hands under and tell who it is?
Yeah, 100%.
I could, for sure. I knew Jeff Saturday's butt cheeks as well as anybody. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think you ever want to you don't want to use blindfold and butt cheeks together very often. But
stop saying the word butt cheeks. It's bothering me.
Yeah, we can. We got Nate.
That comedian is really funny.
Yeah, and
He
I love
really
how
funny.
he is like. That's probably the bluest that he'll get is talking about butt cheeks. He's a notoriously
no matter what joke he's making, his face is the same.
Yeah. This was from the New Heights podcast a couple weeks ago, but they were having a conversation about the QB center intimate relationship as well, and I thought that tied in well here.
They also made you snap on your week off.
Yeah, simulating what Josh Dobbs had to go through.
Fitz mentioned that you immediately start taking snaps, but he made one mistake. He said, listen, I don't want to touch your grundle. Listen, ball security number one, you got to get up in there.
You got to get that grundle.
All
if
right.
I don't feel your hand on my grundle, I don't know where your hand's at. That's the reality. Seriously, that's becoming a major issue with college game because so much of the college game is played in shotgun.
Shotgun, yeah.
That when these quarterbacks come under, they have their hand barely touch. I'm like, bro, I need to feel some pressure. I need to know where that hand's at, brother. If I don't feel pressure, I'm snapping to my I need to know where the hand is.
Touch it. Don't be scared, son.
If your knuckles don't
Touch
smell
it.
like some sweaty balls afterwards, then you're not doing it right. Fitz wanted no part of that.
He ain't wanted no part. He was like, this dude just had some chili cheese dogs.
He was at the Wiener Circle last night. Who knows what's happening under there?
That gun is still hot. I know it is.
Those guys are so good, and yet
it's
here
like
you
they're
are
brothers or
listening to
something.
us. Here you
Yeah,
are
what
listening to
chemistry. I do love when they had Jalen Hurts on that podcast and they were talking about snapping the ball.
Yeah.
And Jalen Hurts did not take even half a second when Travis Kelce was like, do you like the way my brother hikes the ball or snaps the ball? And he goes,
He said it's so aggressive.
Jason Kelce was like, dude, there's not a lot of people that like the way I snap the ball. And Jalen Hurts goes, it's so fast.
Yeah.
He's like, you see why when I get into my athletic stance is because I got to be able to catch it.
Jalen Hurts.
He's
New
Jason
Heights.
Kelce goes, hey, Travis goes, why do you snap it like that? And he goes, I need my hands back.
Yeah. Let's see if I can find that directly here.
While you're looking for that, when I was probably, I don't know, when I was younger, I was too big to in Pee Wee football or whatever. If you're over a certain weight limit, you have to wear an X on your helmet, and that means you can't carry the ball. So I played line pretty often, and oftentimes I would play center. And I remember specifically one time we were down on the line. Quarterback says down, set. So we're about to hike the ball, And so, like, I'm just waiting. Next sound, I'm going to snap the ball. And, like, the coach says something to, like, stop the play. And the quarterback moves his hands. And I snap the ball and just hit myself in the nuts so fucking hard. I fell flat on my face mask and just was, like, rolling around in pain for a second.
And you were cut.
Yeah, they cut me from the Pee-wee team.
Traumatizing.
Here's Jalen Hurts talking there.
He has a very unique way of snapping the ball.
Every quarterback that I've ever played with hates how I snap the ball.
Is it getting to you quick?
Fast. It's up on you. You know,
Nolan Ryan, the center right here.
People always ask me, why's your stance so low? I'm like, I got to be in an athletic position to catch the ball when it's coming. I remember my rookie year when I came in, like I come in, I have a couple plays here and out throughout the game.
Oh, yeah.
And I go in there and fumble the snap because I just wasn't ready, like I wasn't in the position.
Some of them were bad snaps. Too, I'd snap it fast, and I snap it fast because I want my hand back. That's about it. I got stuff to do.
There you go.
Great podcast.
I know.
Yeah, go and check out that
Go
one.
and check out that podcast.
Go ahead and pause it.
Why are you checking this
Because if
out?
they're going to get viewership, it's people hearing it from us.
Yeah, that's true. People who listen to our podcast definitely
It's just
have never heard of that one.
passive promotion for
Yeah,
them.
they do the same for us. In fact, I called Peter the other day. I was listening to their podcast, and there was a very clear segment or just a piece of their podcast where they were talking and there was a pause, and Jason Kelce goes, it just makes sense.
Yeah, I got to go and find that.
Yeah, you got to go clip that.
You're
Clip
welcome.
that. Clip
You're
that.
welcome, Jason.
Thanks.
Got to go and clip that. There was an interesting debate that was kind of happening as well, and I'm curious if it would really like ignite any sort of debate, which is like, would you rather have Tom Brady and Gronk in their prime or Mahomes and Kelce in their prime? And was just kind of wondering if there was if this was going to be a universal thing or if it was a debate.
I think it's definitely a debate. That's hard, even now thinking about it. That's hard for. I think the kind of off the cuff response is, if you ask anybody who's the GOAT quarterback, Tom Brady, and you ask anybody who's the GOAT tight end, probably 70% are going to say Gronk. So I think with those numbers, you probably lean that way. But I think when all is said and done, and Travis Kelce and Mahomes' career together is finished, you could say, okay, the number of Super Bowls won together, the success they had. I think it's going to be pretty equal numbers. So I don't know. It's hard to say.
I think it's still Brady and Gronk.
Yeah.
Maybe by
right
the end
now,
of it, you'll
But that's
think
not
of it
that's
differently.
not to say that Mahomes and Kelce isn't proven, because they've won 2 Super Bowls together.
Right.
Yeah.
And they've made it to other Super Bowls. But proven, Brady Gronk. Not only did they do it multiple times in New England, they both came back and did it with Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
But the play styles are so different.
They are.
You're talking about a super fucking accurate passer, a pocket passer, knowing where the guy is going to be, versus a scrambler tossing to a guy who's also a scrambler. They don't have set routes.
Yeah.
They just know each other so well that if Mahomes scrambles, that means Kelce is fucking scrambling and finding a spot.
This is what I kind of had trouble with, which was the fact that, Gronk was so constantly injured. I mean, we know that he missed a ton of time, sometimes seasons at a time, where I just think, a Mahomes-Kelce relationship right now, if Kelce was out, if Kelce was out, Mahomes would have no one to throw to. The offense would be decimated. Tom Brady, with Gronk out, was still very, very good at finding his guys. I guess we haven't seen a Kelce out for as extended period of a time, but maybe I'm looking at the questioning correctly.
Gronk and Kelce are also treated differently.
Yeah.
Because Gronk, the reason, I'm not saying the only reason he was injured is this, but he was laying his body out there to block.
Yeah.
Kelce is treated more like a receiver
for sure.
with Kansas City. When they're blocking, it's Justin Watson or Noah Gray. Kelce is kind of putting his hands out on some people.
And then he's a free bird.
But Gronk is out there on a run block like Kittle.
Yeah.
And going and laying people out.
Yeah, I think that's a really
I agree.
good point. In the
and I think,
utilization.
to the point that you were making, Pete, if Mahomes, or excuse me, if Kelce was out, that's detrimental for the Chiefs, and they're going to have a hard time being productive on offense, which means that he doesn't have a lot of competition in those skill positions. He's the number one guy. Whereas with Gronk, there were a lot of other options on those Patriots teams or those Buccaneers teams that he was competing with these guys to get catches and to be, a primary person in that offense, and he was doing that while also being a primary blocker, being huge in their run game. So I think that even gives more weight to Gronk in that sense. And also, not very often, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong here, but to my memory, I can't think of a lot of like magical Travis Kelce one-handed diving type catches. Because he's a scrambler, he has the ability to get himself out into open space quite a bit.
Yeah.
Whereas Gronk, he was,
he had some pretty miraculous
mossing
catches.
people and one-handed and diving. Like he was making some pretty incredible catches. So yeah, I think as of right now, it would be hard to argue against Gronk and Brady. But I think when all is said and done, that comparison is going to get a lot closer and closer.
This also helps another sort of debate because obviously Mahomes hasn't had enough time. He's still younger, but no question. To me, he's the best quarterback in the league currently. Mm-hmm. But if you're talking about future GOAT, Mahomes is nowhere near Tom Brady.
No.
Because if you're saying that Kelce is out and he's having to make it happen, is the same reason that Brady was so good that we knew the likes of Deion Branch and Chris Hogan and Wes Welker,
Danny Amendola.
None of these guys succeeded outside of Tom Brady.
For sure.
He made them a household name.
So much money. Yeah.
And hopefully we can see that with Mahomes, with Rashee Rice and any of these other guys. Yeah. I think he helped Tyreek a little bit, but Tyreek's a fucking monster by himself.
There are only a couple of quarterbacks where I can pinpoint and say that quarterback made that player so much money. And that was Peyton Manning and that was Tom Brady. Peyton Manning with his later Broncos years as well. Julius Thomas made just a ton of money by going to Jacksonville. He gets to Jacksonville, does nothing. I know that that's a very selective answer. I don't have time to run down the whole list, but there's just a number of those examples. For sure, the Patriots receiving core, you're just who are these people half the time?
I think you could also kind of throw Aaron Rodgers into that category.
Sure.
I mean, you see them, some of these guys that he brought over to the Jets with him who are just not doing shit. And obviously Zach Wilson is a huge step down, but still, it's they're not able to perform at the same caliber without a guy like an Aaron Rodgers. But yeah, and there's, as I said, time will tell with this, but I think it's going to be hard to argue that pair in Kansas City over the Patriots.
People weren't just going to play with Tom Brady because he was an accurate passer and he was a great quarterback, but they knew the team was going to win. And as much as you dislike this person's persona and his personality and the way he is, Tom Brady is the football equivalent of LeBron James. On why we know about the Tristan Thompson and why these fuckers get paid. J.R. Smith. None of these guys are doing well without him, but they all got paid and they all want a ring at some point because when you go to that team, you'll get something and then you can call it a career.
Yeah.
I think that's a relatively fair
Wes Welker
comparison.
is the receivers coach in Miami. Mm-hmm. And they're fucking probably have, with Tyreek carrying most of the weight, probably have one of the best receiving cores with Waddle.
So where we're at in the NFL, and we've kind of talked about, everyone knows the stat by now with the Dolphins, teams 0-767, down 14 points since 2016, under 3 minutes play. That really cherry-picking stat. Dolphins lose, however, they were looking pretty good. Now the Bills have beat the Chiefs. The Eagles and the Chiefs both lost a couple of games. Dallas thriving right now. The 49ers looking unstoppable now that they're at full force. Which teams are good in the NFL? Full stop. Which teams are good? Because there are so many times, we got bit. We got bit by the by the Texans. I'm not saying the Texans were good, but they were surging. They shouldn't have lost.
Are
to
you
the
saying
Jets.
which average teams are good?
No,
or
just which teams are good.
Baltimore.
Baltimore's good.
Philly.
You think? Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
San
I think
Francisco.
the number one team kind of head and shoulders above everybody else.
The Niners.
And we've kind of said this from the beginning of the season, is the San Francisco 49ers. I think it's going to be very hard come to the playoffs to take them off that throne. Because I think they have a pretty easy road into that number one seed and having home field advantage. I don't see like the Lions or the Eagles after losing these 2 games in a row. And maybe the Cowboys, but still I don't have a ton of confidence in the Cowboys. I just really think that the Niners are going to hold that spot, and they're going to be the representation in the NFC.
As far as there's different levels, but if you're asking me who's basically how I'm interpreting you asking me who's good is who are not frauds. Niners, Cowboys, Philly, Baltimore, Kansas City. Those are the 5 teams I don't think are frauds, regardless of what's happening. Like Kansas City could be in shambles at the moment, but it's still Kansas City, led by Mahomes, led by Reed and Kelce. They're not frauds to me. This is a team that's had trouble the entire season, and they're what, 8-5?
They're 8-5.
If you have a winning record at this point, and you're probably going to finish with a winning record with everything that's happening, all it's telling me is you should be fucking 10-3.
Mm-hmm.
But shit's not going well right now, which you could fix. I think the teams that I didn't mention will run into any of those 5 and not win.
This goes
You
back.
know who else is 8-5?
Your Cleveland Browns.
I love Joe, but
this goes back
I don't know.
to what Braxton was saying earlier, and it is when you play a bad game and you still win. That to me is a good team.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, when I think of that logic, and I look around the NFL, it is the Eagles can do that, the 49ers can do that, and I think that the Ravens can do that. I think that the Chiefs will have a bad game and lose that game. I don't think that they're at that juncture. Now, in 4 weeks from now, could they be with a few rebound games against a bunch of backup quarterback schmoes? Maybe. Right now, I don't view them as that.
I might eat my words for saying this, but I would be more worried about the Cowboys than I would be the Kansas City Chiefs.
Worried in a as in a dominant Cowboys, or worried about the Cowboys falling on their face?
If they're in the game,
like who's more likely to lose in the first round of the playoffs?
The Chiefs or the Cowboys?
I think the Chiefs right now.
Yeah,
but if
I actually agree with that.
If I'm
Me
talking
too.
about a game where it's back and forth, it's a defensive game, it's 17-14 heading into the fourth with 5 minutes, I'd be more worried about the Cowboys than I am Kansas City.
Yeah.
I'd be more worried about Dak than I would be Mahomes, because I don't think the Cowboys have been battle tested.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They do have, I guess, kind of the toughest schedule out of those 3 that I was saying. Did I go through Dallas's schedule the next 4 weeks? If not, I'll say it again. They've got the Bills, the Dolphins, the Lions, and the Commanders. Again, Washington being a formidable division opponent, not so
They
good.
play them tough. The Bills are kind of finding their way right now.
Who knows what the Dolphins are with their injuries? But then the Lions, who knows what you get with them?
The Bills, right at this moment, is a team. It's a 7-6 team you don't want to face. They are a scary middle of the road team.
Yeah, they're the best good team. You know what I mean?
You think that they're better, dare I say this, than the Broncos? The Broncos are real good right now. They're like a game out of the freaking division lead.
If I had to place a bet on a team, I'm probably going to take the Bills.
I'd probably take the Bills.
Yeah.
Because then at that point, if it's close enough, you're nitpicking, and I would probably, how he's playing right now, I would trust Allen over Russell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, and honestly, we often, we ask for the parity in the NFL because, it's a lot of times, it's Kansas City or bust. NFC usually is pretty weak. It's kind of the same thing, whereas the tables have turned. Kansas City is still strong, but not like they were. The NFC seems to be way stronger from, they have kind of the best 3 teams in the NFL are all in the NFC. The AFC is a kind of toss-up with a couple of teams, so we are seeing some parity, which I think is fun. It just kind of sucks that all these injuries, it's like one domino after another that seem to just kind of take some of these teams that are on the fringe just completely out of it.
It is interesting because, we talk earlier in the season, you talk like about, some of the things that we say now and some of the things that are going to happen, we will have no idea what's going to happen. We have like 9 backup quarterbacks who played this past weekend. I think that like over 50 quarterbacks have played in the NFL. And I mean, to say that like anyone forecasted a Tommy DeVito this year.
I've never heard of a Tommy DeVito or Aiden
Joe
O'Connell.
Flacco.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's funny. Like when we were talking about your Roman Empire earlier.
Yeah.
Another thing that I think about is people who watch sports like us, like we're not exempt from this at all. We're the worst. We're like us sports fans are the absolute fucking worst. We're never satisfied with anything. You ask for parity, you get it. It's a boring fucking game.
Mm-hmm.
You get the same winners over and over. You're like, well, I mean, Oregon Liberty? What's the point?
I don't feel
you should like why are we watching Alabama? Like you're never going to be satisfied with anything like
unless it's your teams that you root for in the positions
and then you'll find
to win.
an excuse.
Sports fans are just the worst people to cater to.
Yeah, it's true.
I don't want to like passively dunk on this guy, but I'm going to do it. Do you think that if the Ravens win this year, with everything that's kind of happened, like I feel like the Ravens more or less have been kind of like not really a boring team, but like a very under the radar team with a lot of other.
They're not flashy.
They're not flashy. There's all the stuff about like the Brock Purdy's of the world, and we've seen the Josh Dobbs and the Tommy. We've seen a lot of like these flashy storylines where just like the Ravens have been dominant this year,
quietly
dominant. Like, do you think that it will be as like unsexy as Jayden Daniels winning the Heisman? Because there's like and I'm not the only one thinking this or saying this, but people are saying that like, is this like the most boring Heisman winner when you look at like all of the things that could have been?
I know we're gonna dive into the Heisman, but your point that you're bringing fucking completely ties back to what I just said. Because the reason people think the Ravens are not sexy is because Lamar Jackson isn't rushing for 80 yards for a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
It is the same thing he got fucking criticized for. You can't stay in the pocket. You can't stay in the pocket and throw accurately. And he's doing that this year. You're not hearing from them, but he is making Odell Beckham have a fucking career again. He is making Zay Flowers turn into a middle of the road great wide receiver too.
Well, right, but I'm also saying that like once again they were riddled with injuries at running back, and then Mark Andrews goes down, who's their second biggest name, arguably aside from Odell Beckham Jr. on that team. So then, there's like nothing inherently sexy about the Ravens right now.
It's not, but to me, it's impressive. To me, it's impressive
absolutely.
to see Lamar Jackson know that he's facing defenses who's expecting him to rush for 80 a game. And he has become a more accurate pocket passer. These defenses don't know what to do with him. That's why they're 10-3.
Yeah.
They're 9-4 or whatever.
I personally think it would be very exciting for the Ravens to win a Super Bowl. I don't think that would be boring at all.
They're playing
They're
the
a fun team.
Baltimore way, which is like hard-nosed, like Gus Edwards running the ball, and they're doing this without Mark Andrews.
They are. Yeah.
Who's arguably a top 5 tight end in the league.
Yeah, and I guess
Not
like
5.
when I say it's like not sexy, it's just kind of like they have developed the expectation that they're always going to be there, right? There's just kind of like they're always kind of like silent dominance, and it's like, I mean, is that, I don't know, I don't want to call it dynasty type of stuff because that's not it, but it's just kind of like you always expect them to be good, and so you just don't think about them as much.
But that, if I'm a coach, that's exactly what I'd want.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that's a great position to be in, is let people not think about us, not talk about us, overlook us, whatever it may be. But in the end, we're there and we're winning.
Before we get out of here, you did say that we were going to talk about the Heisman. I am curious about the thoughts. There was just kind of like what we talked about last week, which was like Oregon shooting themselves in the foot. Had Oregon won the Pac-12 championship game and Bo Nix shows out, I think Bo Nix wins that handily. And then all of a sudden, then you go, okay, well, like, but then, okay, let's relook at this. And so now, like, Jayden Daniels wasn't even in his conference championship, but he throws for almost 5,000 yards and has like 50 touchdowns. And on paper, you look at these guys and goes, well, he's got the best stats. But nothing that he did. I mean, you brought back up the point about like, okay, well, if Jordan Travis was so important, why wasn't he in the Heisman discussion?
I think there's two different precedent that's been set with an NFL MVP and a college Heisman. And that's been set a long time ago. So I don't think that Jayden Daniels is an undeserved winner. I think he fucking absolutely deserved it based on the precedent that's been set. Because with the NFL, they always tie records to it. They always tie your team record.
Yeah.
They have not been doing that with the Heisman. Lamar Jackson's won it. Eric Crouch from fucking Tim Crouch from Nebraska's won it. You have a lot of guys with a 3-4 loss record in the season that have won it. So based on that, on stats alone, Jayden Daniels blows Penix and Nix out of the water. I mean, Penix went undefeated, beat Oregon twice, but as soon as he was announced as the Maxwell Award winner, to your point, you thought they always sweep it. They don't. They always do a consolation with the Conference Player of the Year, Maxwell Award winner, Campbell Award winner. Heisman goes to somebody who didn't get any of those, unless there's zero competition.
I think that Mariota won basically everything his year.
Yeah, but that was a year where it was pretty clear that.
But
I mean, I don't think Jameis was really as close to.
Jayden Daniels not only surpassed in passing yards and touchdowns the other two quarterbacks, the other two were not even close to his rushing yards.
Yeah.
I mean, they were fairly even. So yes, LSU lost 3 or 4. You can say what you want about the SEC, but the guy was fucking untouchable this year.
Yeah, and I agree with you. If Bo Nix would have came out and won that game, even if they had gone down by that much, and made that comeback, kept the lead, won the game, I think he wins it no matter what. If Washington was able to continue to beat Oregon the way that they were in the first half and not let them come back and continue to put, pedal to the metal on them, I think Penix wins it. But because Oregon came back and lost, that's why Nix doesn't get it. Because Oregon came back at all is because that's why Penix doesn't get it.
I just think they put a different type of importance with Jayden Daniels compared to the other two. They're all, if you take any of these three quarterbacks out of their teams are shambles. They're done. But Jayden Daniels was doing so much more than Bo Nix and Penix, and that is because of the rushing yards. I mean, the guy was rushing for a 75-yard touchdown on top of throwing for 4.
It is kind of interesting, though. Like, I wonder if the Heisman vote should be treated the same way that in NBA MVP works and NFL, where it's all regular season. Technically, you are in championship play. You are in extra football with championship weekend. Like, should they have cut off the voting for Heisman before championship games if you're in keeping with how other sports do it?
I think majority of the decision is made in the regular season with a little bit of the postseason sprinkled in. I actually think that Heisman voting is way more accurate than any of the pros.
But Heisman voting doesn't close until after championship weekend.
Then it's included.
Oh, I know that it is included. I'm just saying, should it be? If you're looking at the other, if you're looking at, I mean, like you're in the college football playoff, and there's guys going to be who were Heisman finalists in the college football playoff.
But my point is, the postseason, the championship games, are like finishing touches. I think most of the decision comes from what they did in the 12 games. I just think Heisman voting is way more accurate than the pros because the pros is a popularity contest.
But would you agree, though, and maybe you wouldn't, is that Bo Nix lost the Heisman because of the championship game?
I wouldn't. I don't think I'm saying Jayden Daniels won without the Pac-12 championship. That's how far ahead he was in stats. I mean, 3 episodes ago before Caleb was here, I was
Yeah, you've been
boringly
pretty
reading you the Jayden Daniels
I am
stats.
reading you his stat line.
Yeah, I
and saying,
and
take
I
your
agree
bias
with that.
away.
That you've been consistent on that for sure. But I think that if Bo Nix would have won that game, he wins the Heisman. I don't think there's a lot of doubt about that. I mean, he odds wise was he was like minus 180. So and not to say that that's necessarily, I obviously think it's deserving, but I agree with you. Jayden Daniels had an incredible season, and you've set a precedent with a Lamar Jackson, with some of these other guys in the past, that if you have these outstanding stats, that you should be considered, if not win. But I think also, if Bo Nix wins that game, he wins the Heisman.
But
there's not
blowout games aside, because I know that's a big if. Should Oregon or Washington blown the other out?
Yeah.
If that's the case, if Bo Nix wins the Pac-12 championship with one loss, Oregon is in the playoffs, then why did Michael Penix Jr. not win the Heisman?
I think
because he's in the same boat, technically.
I agree with you. And I think that there's a way better argument to say, well, why didn't Michael Penix win it over Jayden Daniels? And my only answer to that is he had almost 20-point lead over Oregon, 17-point lead over Oregon, and then they almost lost that game.
I mean, that's not his fault.
That's that's not all his fault, but that's got to come into the mind of the voters, in my opinion. I could be totally wrong, but in my opinion,
I just don't think
that
it matters at all, because if any of those points mattered with what happened, what could have happened in the Pac-12 championship, Jayden Daniels didn't play in an important game at all while that was happening.
But sometimes that can be a benefit.
I think it's been locked. I think it's been locked that he had
you
it.
could be right.
Just because of, the 3,000 rushing yards ahead of the other two.
I would be interested, and I know that they'll never release it, which is just like, what was the voting before the championship weekend and what was voting after?
Yeah, because I know that a lot of voters wait.
Yeah, some vote, they personally think it's a regular season award, but others will let it roll through. So, I mean, it's just kind of like, what is important to you as a Heisman voter? So, I'm reluctant to bring this up because I'm kind of confused where it came from, but why all of a sudden are people calling Zion fat again?
He's gotten fatter.
Well, yeah, I know, but he's always been fat.
He's always been thicker than what people would like him to be at a pro level.
Yeah.
I mean, they showed photos of him in South Carolina as a high school player to Duke, and it's like at one point I never did you think that he was fat in those two levels, and then he gets to the NBA and it's like,
well, right,
you're supposed to be smaller, but this season he's gotten significantly bigger.
Right, because everyone was like, oh, he came in so much more fit, and now they're saying, I see a belly. And all of a sudden, I think this was Stephen A. on his podcast or something was like, oh my God, he's so fat again. It's like, so it's just our annual Zion's fat take, and then he's saying I have it on good authority that Zion goes to a restaurant and he eats the whole table. That's a direct quote. He eats the table. It's and then Shaq's coming out and saying, this is why I know Zion isn't good and why I know he's fat. And I'm like, okay, I'm not trying to fat shame the guy. I feel like I'm as critical on Zion as anything. I'm just wondering, this isn't a new take.
It's not a new take. It's a take that's coming back
again.
around because he's not fat again. He's gotten bigger.
He's more fat. And I think it's also just
almost Christmas. It's time to put on a little.
And I think this came from the play-in tournament, right? Because weren't they in the semifinals or something like that?
They played the Lakers in the semifinals.
Yeah.
Boat raced.
Yeah, and he didn't play well. He looked slow, and I think that's kind of where it came from because everybody was watching that.
The thing that's
LeBron
I watched that game.
versus
I've watched a
Zion.
handful of Pelicans games. This guy gets fucking eaten alive as soon as he gets injured or as soon as he
Is
drops
eating himself at this point
below 17 points. But honestly, the guy's not he doesn't have bad games when he's on the floor.
Yeah.
He gets criticized for his size, but how many times are you going to criticize someone who's dropping 38 and 6? It's the same way that we kind of look at Jokic and how slow he is. But then Zion's downfall is he gets hurt, and then everyone points to the fact that he's not in shape. But when he's on the floor, he's fucking killing everyone.
I was honestly kind of surprised that he was actually not hurt at this point. He's generally pretty hurt. So dial that up in the next couple of weeks.
I love it for him. Keep it going, big guy.
Is it surprising that less stars are not hurt because of the in-season tournament? That's the Adam Silver genius for you.
That extra $500K.
Or just the fact that there's competitive people have something to play for, and you saw less load management.
Yeah, less fake injuries.
Yeah.
I did think it was interesting. I saw a headline. I didn't dive too much into it. It was that Anthony Davis was super wanting to win the tournament so he could buy his family Christmas presents. I'm like, you can buy these guys Christmas presents. Is this a $500,000 slush fund? But awesome though that two-way players also got paid for that too. They got $150,000.
That's a great point that tie in from earlier. It's hey, you're a G League player, but you have made 50 times your salary.
Yeah, in just that one. And I think it was, LeBron saying I got you guys, don't worry about it, going out and saying he's going to win those guys all that money. So.
I do think it was a little odd, the celebration.
Yeah.
The
LeBron putting making the trophy into a fake bong.
They got they're popping the bottles. That to me is a little.
It's dumb.
Calm down.
They should have all just given him a really big Publishers Clearinghouse check.
Yeah,
and that's a better celebration than a damn trophy.
Here's what the takes will be. You won the in-season tournament championship that some people think doesn't help the case of the NBA. It's stupid. Some people think it's great for viewership. You won it. Dude, it's an in-season championship. Calm the fuck down. You didn't win it. LeBron couldn't even win a fucking in-season tournament championship that doesn't matter. I mean, the guy's going to be called dumb regardless. The Lakers are going to be called dumb regardless.
And it's not. This isn't a LeBron thing. I think because I don't have.
There's more. You have to admit.
I'm sure people are.
There's more of a focus on stuff like this because he's involved. Same with the bubble.
And he was the first person in there to be like, "Oh, these young boys don't know what all this champagne's about." Yeah, I can see how people would jump on that. I'm saying if anybody would have gone in and celebrated like they had just won the NBA championship. If I was LeBron, I would have been like, hey, this is nice.
Business.
But we got a lot more to attend to.
Standing on business.
I get that.
Whatever.
You know what I mean?
And I agree with that. But do you think that's dumber than Pat Bev celebrating the Minnesota Timberwolves making the playoffs and crying?
When was that?
2 seasons ago.
They won
They won the play-in to make it to the playoffs, and Pat Bev was standing on the scores thing, crying for making the playoffs.
I agree. That's a little too much, buddy.
But you know what? I wonder too, with all of the stuff around this tournament, in-season tournament. If they were just like, we need you guys to celebrate to make this seem a big deal.
It was
Please be excited.
For sure.
I think
please be excited.
The 50% criticism that the in-season tournament got and the 50% of people all for it, I think for the first round, the first time seeing it, it was pretty good. I think 10 years from now, it's going to be something completely different, and that's something that the NBA couldn't even imagine having a season without. I think it was enough of a success that this is now a part of the league, and you saw it. There's less fake injuries. There's less load management. Yeah, there's $500K, which for millionaires doesn't matter. For G League players, it does matter.
There's plenty of players on that team, especially in a top-heavy team, the way that the Lakers are, that $500K actually does mean something to these guys.
$500,000 is not. I understand us average people would look at that, and you're like, that doesn't matter to you. You make $40 million a year, right? But you're also talking about a very small group of people that are wired differently competitively. You tell them something, you give them something to play for. All of a sudden, a weird thing switches in their brain, and Anthony Davis is not missing a game miraculously.
Yeah,
he's not sitting out a fucking game.
Do you see him snarling? Just all competitive.
You watch the 4 Laker games leading up to the championship, and I'm like, he's going to go down. He's going to get hurt because he's made of fucking glass. No, it was 34-18, 29-18. I'm like, and then now I'm like, All right, now you're dead because the real playoffs are coming,
many
and you're gonna be fucking beat up.
Are gonna be hurt in January and February.
Yeah,
because they'll be like, I could take like January and then I'll come back after All-Star or right before All-Star so that I can play in All-Star.
This is why I think it's great timing, though, and this is why I think Adam Silver wasn't just like willy-nilly coming up with an in-season tournament and finding a time for it. He did it in the beginning because now we're doing Christmas games, something that matters a little bit. And then he has 1 month off where he's probably going to have to deal with fake injuries and load management. And then All-Star happens. Mm-hmm. And then All-Star matters a little bit, and there's a break. Trade deadline. After that, it all matters. He gave himself 1 month of shit, and now the NBA is sort of back when it comes to their viewers.
Yeah, no, I think all in all, successful in-season tournament, successful idea. I think it's brilliant. People cared.
Draymond was kicking people in fucking November and December.
Yeah, he was choking people
That's how
out.
you know it's working.
It's playoff basketball.
Yeah.
Well, it's another great and successful idea. Is
this
our
podcast?
Not doing a lock.
Our live show at Jimmy's once again.
Less than a month away.
January 10th, Wednesday, 6 p.m.
Beater.
We
should probably start getting prepared for that.
You know what's funny is that I just said beater, and it reminded me. I was at a Wendy's. We went inside to eat. A great dining experience there at the old
I bet.
Wendy's. Sitting there in the little
when's the last
sky.
time you sat at a fast food place? Those are old, nostalgic times.
I honestly, I sometimes will, like, if I go on an appointment for work, I'll go stop at like a Taco Bell and I'll just sit by myself.
They got the sunroom there at the Wendy's. They still keep those, the little extra little light there. But I was put in my order, and I don't want to rag on a guy, but we weren't working with the best of the best there at the Wendy's.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes, "What's the name for the order?" I said, "Peter," and he goes, "How do you spell that?" And I said Peter, and then he gives me my receipt, and it's spelled Beter. Hey, beater or better. I'm like, my God! All right,
The Lion King, LINEKEEENG, Lion King.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? My name, and I'm pretty sure that this was just like because the Starbucks employee was bored, but I was the only one in their restaurant, and they said, "What's your name?" I said, "Peter," and they said, Carlos,
Tony,
and it was very clearly just my order, and I just thought they were getting a kick at it. This guy legitimately wrote "beater" on my receipt. But anyways,
Peter, fuck you.
Jimmy's Bar and Grill, January 10th, 6 p.m.
Beater.
It's not 5 p.m.?
Stop it. Don't confuse
You can
people.
come at 5
You
p.m.
can come. Don't come later than that.
Yeah, but don't be there later
We
than
come
6.
at very specific times.
Dude, we're going to have fireball shots fucking Wednesday night.
We don't know if that's our liquor sponsor.
We're
we
still,
might have different.
It might be Reka is the vodka.
The fucking vodka?
We'll have drink specials, food specials.
It's going to be great.
It'll be special.
It's going to be very special.
I planned on eating during the recording last time, and I didn't, and I'm going to do it this time.
During the recording, please don't distract yourself.
Because
why
you're just
would you
picturing
do
it as
that?
wings. I'm not going to do wings.
Why would you eat while we're doing an audio? That's a terrible idea.
You don't know how I'm going to do it yet.
I don't want to know how you're going to do it.
Where
I
are
want
you
to
sticking
not
your
do it.
food?
Also, part of the promotion,
He's just
for you
making
guys,
it up as he's going.
for you guys that have missed the punishments, there will be a punishment on the live show.
There will.
will.
There will. It's going to be epic.
Someone in
eyes.
there is going to ruin themselves.
Beater.
Clear eyes.
Full hearts.
Can't lose.